Hey guys, so I did Case Ready Free, containing the deadly Marburg virus, taking a culturally based communication approach. So, what the Marburg virus is a very deadly virus that is transmitted by fruit bats. It spreads by bodily fluids, and the symptoms are very deadly. It has fever, chills, and severe headache. Um, and then the Anglo location is in the western southern part of Africa, and this virus was really quick. Um, so it created a lot of fear with this community because they had very limited services and sources, and they had very low production for a hospital. They didn't have a lot of beds. They didn't really have a fully functioning hospital. They didn't have the right equipped proper staff. So then the CDC and the Doctors Without Borders, or the MSF, decided to step in and take care of this virus because they figured that they had the most expertise and they could potentially stop this virus from spreading anymore. So they were dressed in all white, which created a lot of more fear for the Anglo people because they believe that uh, when you have a loved one that passed and you're supposed to love it, respect it, give it its best life before it goes on to its next life. And this is just to show respect uh, and to give it uh, the most kind of idea of a before if it's afterlife. They didn't want the spirit to haunt the community, so this is why they did that. And the CDC and the MSF totally ignored that ritual. They did not take part of it. They went from taking the body from the hospital to a mass grave, and that really angered the Anglo people really much so that they were throwing rocks. They started to incite violence. They started to create a really bad riot, and it was just really hurting the MSF people and the CDC people. So the World Health Organization came in and they started to inform the public about the virus, uh, the MSF, the CDC, and like answer all the questions and inquirers that they had. So they rolled out a lot of communication plans to help contain this virus, and then the community started to understand the CDC and MSF and what the virus was. They started to do their own type of outreach was beneficial that helped people understand it on their own terms. And then eventually, after some casualties, uh, there was the virus became fully contained. So the problem here is the CDC and MSF did not support a supportive line of culture-like communication at first. So the stakeholders are the Anglo people, the Doctors Without Borders, the CDC, World Health Organization, the Anglo Red Cross, and the United Nations Children Fund. So the PR objectives were to change the attitude of the CDC and MSF and create awareness for the Marburg fever, which is the full title, for the Anglo people. So the strategies were defensive, which was excuse and justify, and vocal con- concern and condolence. The tactics that the WHO used were very crucial and very great in their using their exercise. They hosted a lot of events, like they had a Q&A session. They created brochures, newsletters, posters. They even had a group called Trio Against Marburg, which they put out an album and they played it over the radio, and they had recordings of it on CD, cassette, AirPlay, all sorts, and they had radio and television spots to talk about this virus and helped create the most awareness for the public as much as possible. They also had printed ads, which were like newspapers. Uh, and then for clothing items, uh, the WHO would wear clothes that were streetwear, or it would be like of the community, so they can get one-on-one with the community, and they feel like a sense of like like a friendship. Um, the WHO saw that suits and wearing professional clothes was showing that like a hierarchy, that people with suits, they wouldn't trust them because they feel like they are just there because they have to be there, whereas when you're in streetwear it feels like you're more casual, more relaxed toned. So like I said, a lot of the tactics were really beneficial, but the strategies they really used were like a sorrow, apology. They wanted to like fix the situation, rectify it, and they wanted to acknowledge the concern, and they wanted to apologize on behalf of the CDC and the MSF, and they wanted to make them feel like they're not the bad guy. They didn't do anything wrong. They definitely should have justified. They definitely justified for their actions, and Jesus said, we're sorry that they are doing this, but they're doing it for the better. They're trying to help you, and they're not trying to like be enemy. They're not trying to be like the ghost that they envisioned, and they were trying not to create more fear because this virus was starting to kill a lot of people rapidly. So what did work and what didn't work? There. So what really worked was their line of communication and their tactics. Their tactics were really, really strong. It really sparked how to communicate amongst the public without creating irrational fear, making it feel more transparent, make it more tangible to understand it. Uh, well, however, what didn't really work is that the CDC and MSF weren't really prudent at first. They didn't have that communication team, and that really, really hit them really hard because people were starting to get angry and really rash against them. So a recommended strategy, I would say, is the visionary response. More importantly, relabeling, because you can change that uh, negative reputation, and then you could change it in for positive. So by doing this, it offers a positive interchangeable reputation for negative one. It completely helps the organizations get rid of the negative reputation and kind of like a fresh start without starting from scratch. Uh, so how did the organization recover? Oh, like what I recommend is always be culturally conscious. Have a good relationship with your public and listen and understand the inquiries, questions, concerns of the public. Um, when you're doing this, people start to feel like you're for them, you're understanding them um, by telling the truth, even though it's so difficult to tell the truth because they don't want to hear the painful agony of it. If you tell them the truth, when you tell them the truth, they feel more secure. They feel right at home because they know that it's what's going to happen. Just like the SPRA's code of ethics, like states, be honest. So the outlook and update. So the CDC did learn their lesson from this case. Um, they both organizations have their own sort of communication now. They're like their own team. The Anglo people haven't showed cases of the Marburg virus, so that's good. However, it did spread to Uganda, and they saw that in 2007, 2008, 2012, and 2014. And the CDC is currently testing on them, but as of far as Anglo, they've been good so far. So my questions are, when creating awareness about an outbreak, or like a pandemic, which we are in now, what should you do first as a PR specialist? My second question is, why does a communication team and an organization should have, why does a communication team make an organization functional? Without a communication team, and then my third question is, without a communication team, can an organization survive? Thank you.